Hi folks, I was riding home the other day on my bike when I noticed a big billboard in town, and I decided to stop the bike and snap a picture of it, and this is it. It says, "Today you are one day closer to meeting God. Are you ready?" And then there's a Bible quote. "It is appointed unto man once to die, but after this the judgment." That's from Hebrews chapter 9. I think it says verse 27. It's a little far away. Yeah, what are we going to say about this? Northern Ireland is the Bible Belt of the UK, that's for sure, and I've said that a few times in recent days. Don't know that you would get a big billboard like that in England. I don't know, maybe you would. But it's a far more secular place than Northern Ireland is. A church has paid a lot of money to put that up. And yeah, I mean, what does a message like that achieve? What's it trying to do? It's immediately repugnant to me personally, because I see where it's coming from and I see what it's trying to do to me. It's trying to manipulate me. I have no idea about the reality of the Christian God, right? And I've got 18 years of Christian experience behind me. I have no idea. I just read about him in a book. I could invent all kinds of fanciful stories about how I'm in communion with God because of spiritual feelings I might have, or possible answers to prayer that might have happened anyway without praying, who knows? But it's all very vague. And I'm betting that that's everybody's experience. You can delude yourself into believing that you know God exists, but you don't. Let's face it, the guy that wrote that sign that says, "You are one day closer to meeting God," he's never met God. So the warning is a little bit, it's a little bit laughable, isn't it? Or maybe not. So anyway, I mean, this is ground I've covered before in this channel, but I have one new thing that I want to add to it that I've never spoke about before, and that is trying to understand why people do believe based on fear. And there's a theory that this goes back to the hunter-gatherer era and how our brain evolved to cope with the kind of strategies that we needed to survive in that prehistoric era, where we were in the wild and there were all kinds of threats from all kinds of directions. So here's how the theory goes. If you're out in the wild, in the forest, and there's a bush that starts to rustle beside you, this is one example out of many, right? You may conjure an image in your head of what the cause of that rustling is. Now, it could be a dangerous wild animal on the other side of that bush that you can't see. Or it could be nothing but a squirrel, right? You just don't know. But what's the safest action for you? The safest action is for you to believe that it's a dangerous wild animal and to get out of there. Because if you choose to believe it's a squirrel, you could get eaten. So you see the way the brain is naturally wired to kind of choose the safest option. Yeah? So in a sense, if we take this into the present day with this sort of threat, you may be thinking, God may or may not be real. In particular, the Christian God may or may not be real. So I should choose the safest option, which is to believe in him. Yeah? There's a logic to that. But the alternative is actually just to do your homework. To take a breath, to do your homework. And when you do, as I have done, the conclusion that I come to is that He is not real, and I would say that's with 99.99999% certainty. The Christian God is not real. I can't say 100% because I have to admit to a certain amount of human frailty, right? That's just, you know, a reasonable kind of humility I'm bringing to the table. But I'm not going to bet my life on a tiny, tiny probability that I was wrong when everything leads to the unreality of this God. I mean, we could talk about all kinds of things, but all you got to do is look at my Recovery from Religion playlist on my channel and pick a video that you want and go through it. There's plenty of reasons to disbelieve, way, way more than there is to believe. It just doesn't make any sense. So just bear in mind that if you do feel afraid of damnation, it's probably just because of your own evolutionary wiring. So take a breath before you just sort of throw everything into one side of this equation and just throw caution to the wind and dedicate your life to an imaginary being, to a worldview that will poison your life. And I speak from bitter experience there. It will set you at war with yourself if you take it seriously like I did. It's not good for you at all. So I'm trying to make an educational video rather than a mocking video. You may remember I made a little bit of a speech about that recently. I don't like these atheist videos that are all about mocking Christians. I would rather make something that makes a Christian go, you maybe have a point there, Darrell. Yeah. And a sort of video that helps somebody who's on the fence to kind of see things a wee bit more clearly. But you know, bottom line here is, the person who wrote that has never met God, and he's warning you that you're going to meet God. It's just a message of fear. And if that's all they've got, it's just fear. Notice that there's nothing reasonable there. They're not trying to convince you of anything, they're just trying to emotionally manipulate you. So there should be a great big warning bell going off in your mind about that. Yeah? Okay, folks. Stay sane.